Hey guys, how you doing? This is Coach D Darrell Spears once again. Today we're going to focus on marriage, the big M. This ring that I have symbolizes that. I've been married for 17 years and I will be married for 18 years next month. What does marriage mean? What does marriage mean in the Black community? What does marriage mean in American culture? Now, in creating this video, I was influenced to create a video and talk about marriage because you all voted and stated, I want you to talk more about relationships. I want you to talk about more about marriage. And let's kind of transition away from the dating stuff as far as going out, meeting someone, getting to know. And to be honest, um, I plan to transition more into that, but I'm still going to cover all layers of relationships and connecting to someone in the environment that we're in. And so when we talk about marriage, one of the first questions that I ask is, are you even ready for marriage? Are you prepared? What were you conditioned and taught what marriage meant? What are the roles that you are going to um, carry out, operate under? In today's world, and I know people are continuing to talk about the quote unquote modern woman, but nobody wants to talk about the modern man who doesn't want to get married in many situations or under certain circumstances. From my position, I'm focused on you as the person being developed enough mentally, psychologically, developed enough financially, and also within your decision making, your maturity. Marriage comes kids, children. You see, one of the biggest problems in the Black community when it comes to marriage, and which actually leads to so many people being in relationships and not being married, is that we focus so much on the short term of how this person is treat you as an individual, but we don't think long term about how that person is going to be as a spouse and as a father or a mother, which is one of the biggest reasons people get divorced because the person's character is overlooked. Over a month ago, I created videos on vetting. Well, marriage requires the same. You're constantly vetting, even the person that you're involved in the relationship. You're vetting that person till the time you get married. Okay, it doesn't stop once they propose and put the ring on your finger. And I know you're elated and happy, or the man is happy he finally found who he claimed he wants. It doesn't stop there. The vetting stops the moment you get married. And even then, once you are married, you're still assessing and trying to improve as a mate, as a relationship. See, growth doesn't stop at marriage. Love doesn't stop at marriage. You see, there are people who believe that your value goes up or down based on marriage. There are people who think women that overall women value goes down the older they get. That's a very simplistic and asinine way of looking at the value of women, because the value of a woman doesn't necessarily go down because they are married and older. The value of that woman is not limited to how she looks and how she kept her body up. The value of that woman increases based on how well she functions in marriage and how well she manages the household, take care of the family, and is in a position that is valuable to everybody. Same thing for men. Our men to think in a very simplistic, elementary manner, to think just because you're a man, the older you get, your value goes up. No, it does not. The older you get, your value only goes up if everything that you're involved in increases in abundance. Now, for most men, if you were making 30, 40 grand in your 20s, usually you're going to make about 30, 40, 50,000 more once you're in your 40s and 50s. I hate to use myself as an example, but I make way more money than what I made in my 20s. I spent my 20s building my career. I wasn't focused so much on money. I focused more on being a professional education. The application and the fruits of that didn't really come until the end, my late 20s, early 30s. And then in my 40s, I'm just basically parlaying right now and having a good time because everything is ready made for me. But that's not true for every man. There are some men who were actually doing better in their 20s than they're doing in their 40s. Particularly, there are things like health issues that happen, cognitive issues, mental health issues that can occur. And then the fact that your career may not go as well as you think as well as it was that you anticipated. See, we don't think about that. You see, we're so focused on because certain people said things on the internet and certain people think things, and if other people agree with it, it must be true. No, it's not. That doesn't necessarily mean it's true. What it means is that in there's many examples of, on average, men are worth more in their latter years and they're worth less in their younger years. Okay? And that's on average true through research. But your maturity is going to be better. Your decision making is better. Okay? How you treat your family, your role as a father is going to be better. Your value to everybody around you, your wife. Are you going to function better in the role of husband, father, better than you were when you were in your 20s or 30s? That determines value. But see, we're talking about the institution of marriage. We are talking about you taking almost like an oath, vows. You vow to be a certain way and to function a certain way for the rest of your life. And we all know the most difficult vow is to be faithful, particularly for men. Now, it does say for better and worse, but who's marrying for worse? We're marrying for the better. Richer or poor? Who's marrying for poor? We're marrying for richer and better. We're not sickness and health. We don't want to be tied down to someone who's sickly because that affects the richer or poor. One of the biggest reasons that the number one reason people in a marriage or period file bankruptcy is because of medical reasons. So all of these things intertwine. All of these things have a probability of occurring in marriage. Now, in the Black community, we speak on the fact that only less than 30% of our population gets married. And then we also talk about that only 17 to 20% of Black women get married, and about, a little bit, maybe about 27, whatever percent of Black men, 28% Black men in the late 20s, give or take percentage points. But we never talk about the process had led people to not get married, to not be seen as a valuable commodity. To look at marriage in such a negative way is harmful to our community. Marriage is a beautiful thing when two people are doing what they're supposed to be doing in the marriage. Marriage is not basically a journey of someone being miserable for the rest of their life. It's not. And there are tons of people who, when they think of marriage, they're thinking about what they're not allowed to do instead of thinking about the things that you can do. The fact that you have a person who's willing to make your life easier. So we don't think about that. That's why there's so many single, frustrated, angry single mothers. Not the fact that you're a single mother, it's that you're working too hard. There's so many, disgruntled men because they want the convenience of a woman in their bed every night. That means something. See, these are the benefits of marriage. Financially, it's easier to build wealth with two people than one person. This independent BS has harmful effects long term. The independence of being on your own only means, no matter how successful you are, that you're willing to put yourself in a position where you're working harder as opposed to having another person that can allow you to work a lot easier. These are the benefits of marriage that people don't think about. People are so tied up into their freedoms. They feel more free being single. Yes, and you also more lonely. Research shows, and it has shown, that people who are married are more happier. They live longer, less health issues, and so on, as opposed to those who are not. There's so many benefits as far as Black men. Just valuing your Black woman in itself, allow a person to be the vessel to make things easier for your life. And you're supposed to make it easier for her so that she can relax. When we have women who are in male orientated industries, not trying to be misogynistic, but the fact of the matter is that when you got women entering certain fields like construction, forklifting, activities, operation managers of machinery, welding. Shout out to those women who are overextending themselves physically to do that type of work. Trucking, transportation, working law enforcement, dangerous jobs. Listen, I'm not telling you, you can do whatever you are inspired to do. But most of those women are doing those jobs because they have no other opportunities. I've never heard a little girl in my life or teenager say, I want to grow up and be a policeman, or I want to grow up and be a truck driver. No, that doesn't exist. I don't hear girls. I hear teachers, I hear doctor, I hear singer. I want to be a chef. I hear things of that sort. Wedding planner, things that are, a nurse. They're not talking about those things. But if you're married, see, we're talking about marriage. We're talking about the fact that we have to also look at how many children can we afford? Children, the management of children and paying for children and raising children can quickly kill the fun and romance and the excitement of a marriage, of two people, because now you have to account for this person with the existence of a child. The risk of sex can go down drastically. Going out on vacations and going out on weekend trips, doing all types of fun things that you were doing. And to me, listen, of course, being married, you're going to not do as many things that you were doing when you were single and dating. I get that. Because now you're talking about how you're going to build a life, what type of house you want, what type of neighborhood. And if you're thinking about the children, what type of school they're going to be involved in, these are the things that we're talking about in marriage. So I'm talking about the marriage. This is what you all voted for. This is what you want to know. You know, what is marriage is supposed to look like. I can't tell you what your marriage is supposed to look like. I can't tell you how you're supposed to function. But what I can tell you, there are certain tools, there are certain universal truths in a relationship. If you're married to anyone, you have to treat that person accordingly. You're married to someone, you have to be responsible. You're married to someone, you have to please that person sexually. If you're married to someone, you have to manage your money appropriately. You can't lie, you can't cheat. You have to have somewhat of equivalent values. Be on one accord. We're talking about marriage. And these are the things that you need in marriage. And there are a list of other things that I didn't speak of. But yes, you're supposed to be tied to the hip, not to the family that you're married out of. You know, so many times in a marriage, you have to account for your in-laws, the family, your family, and then your immediate family that you married into. Yes, your mom, dad, sister, brothers, all that good stuff can be influential from a positive or negative manner. This is marriage. Also in marriage, there are going to be days that you don't want to be around the person that you're married to. There are going to be days you don't want to have sex with them. There are going to be days where you don't want to talk. There are going to be days that you just wish you could have a break, but you can't. Because in marriage, this is a marathon. And so many people get tied up into that bad day. You may have 2 or 3 days that not great. And then you start questioning everything. Who in the hell said that every day in a marriage is supposed to be wonderful? It's not. Some days can be horrible. Some days you don't feel like this is for you. But if you're of value and that person's of value, you're going to park the brakes, take some steps back, and realize, hey, this was just a isolated situation. I'm not going to make hasty decisions based on how I feel today, or they did something that I didn't like. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about marriage. I'm going to talk about certain things. I'm just throwing out a lot of vague, not necessarily vague, but I'm just throwing out spontaneous themes and topics that relate to marriage itself and what you will have to experience in a marriage. And for some people, they're going to say, I don't ever want to get married. I'm not here to judge you on you not ever wanting to be married. But don't sit here and tell me you don't want to ever be married, but you want the person that you're dating to do married things. Now, I'm going to do some videos about the difference between married and dating, because there's a difference. The difference between how you treat a man that you're married to versus a man that you're dating. There's a difference. Okay? And people cross the lines all the times that causes negative effects long term. So this is Coach D. Darrell Spears. Hope you enjoyed my video on marriage. Y'all have a great day.